All right, new day and another laptop that needs to be saved, and this time we have an Alienware M18R1. Now this one may be something a little bit spicy because I can smell something burnt. It's already coming out of the side of this thing. Now the customer did mention that the DC jack did break and they did replace it with a new one, but they suspected that this whole area melted because of the heat from the short on the main power rail. So what I'm worried about is that we have a short on the main power rail, but I haven't taken a look at this yet. Let's take a look together and see if we can get this figured out. Okay, yeah, so I do smell something. It smells burned, just a little bit, just a tiny hint of it. And what worries me is that they did mention something about it being melted in this area, and you can kind of see, let's zoom in and take a look at the back of this jack here. So this should be a perfect circle, but you can actually see that the plastic is melted around here. Now, the DC jack itself was replaced by the owner. So if we have a melt around here, we probably have some other issue. I want to take a look and see what charger he has. He did not include his charger, so I have no idea if he's using an OEM charger, an aftermarket charger, or what's going on with that. So the first thing I want to do is not plug it in for sure, because I don't want to worry about having some other thing blow up or short out something else on the board. I will try to see if it turns on. Now the laptop is pretty dirty, and we could start by cleaning it. We could do the reverse sear of this, where usually I clean it at the end, but I can clean it at the starting if we want. It's definitely dirty here, so I'm worried on what it looks like on the inside. Is there a spill? Nobody mentioned anything about a spill. All they mentioned is shorted back here and replace that. So that's all information we have, so it's all we have to work on. Let's go ahead and take the bottom off and take a look inside. All right, and the bottom is off. Ooh, and it's not as dirty as I thought it was gonna be inside, but the battery is connected, it looks like. So we have the 3 fans here. Here's the 4th one that actually cools the DDR5 memory. We have 2 sticks of NVMe SSDs here. And then the main battery is an OEM. It looks like it does have the serial number here. It does look like the regular fonts on there. So that's usually what I look at when I'm looking at a fake battery. Is this board shorted on the main power rail? It's very hard to tell whenever we measure on this particular motherboard, because most of the circuitry is on the other side. How convenient is that? It is pretty convenient, but we do have a couple areas that we can test. But before I do anything, I usually like to pull out their SSDs, get those out of the picture. We're gonna unplug the main battery. We probably just pull the Wi-Fi card out anyway, since it's right here. So let me go ahead and do that first before we do any testing. So I'm gonna unplug the battery, make sure that it's unplugged, and we will remove these SSDs. Now, if you are a repair shop or somebody who's working on a machine like this, you want to make sure that the drives are labeled for what slot they're going into. And so the trick that I use when I'm pulling these things out is that the slots are usually numbered. So we have SSD 2 and we have SSD 1. So what I do is I just put a dot on the back of the actual SSD. So I'll put a dot back here and I'll put 2 dots on this one. So we have SSD 1, we have SSD 2. The reason why we do that is that if this thing is running in some sort of RAID array, so it's striped or it's mirrored probably doesn't matter, but striped, at least we want to have those in the right order, or else we're going to have some sort of reconstruction issue. Sometimes you'll have, this one actually takes 4 SSDs, so we could have 2 2230s here. But it's just good habit, especially if you are working on machines for other people. So that's just something to think about. Okay, now that we have the 2 SSDs out and the Wi-Fi card out, let's go ahead and just measure right here at the DC jack. Now, we shouldn't have a short at the DC jack. That's just not how it works. Whenever we are measuring on a DC jack, we are generally want to measure to see if we're getting voltage to the DC jack, like coming into the machine. But this particular case, I don't want to plug it in because I'm kind of scared. I don't know if we have some sort of short, but I'm going to get in continuity mode here where I touch the probes together and they beep. And I'm just going to measure to see if we do have a short somewhere around here. So this is showing, this is probably ground. So this means that these are going to be the DC in. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can see all these are kind of tied together into this one big track. And this one big track is going to go through to the other side of the board, and it's going to tie to the protection MOSFETs on the other side of the board. So they are doing the job. They are isolating the DC jack from whatever's shorted on the board, if there is a short on the board. I'm just assuming because their notes basically said that. But and this side's the ground, so there's nothing to worry about here. And this is the PSID pin, which is the communication line that communicates the charger with the laptop and tells it how many watts it is. All right, so we can't measure to see if there's a short there, but we can go to one of our power rails on this side of the board, which there's only one, and we have one right here. It's just the DDR5. It's the 5-volt power rail that powers the DDR5 memory, and we're going to see if we do have a short in this area. So I'm going to actually just check this power rail. This thing does short out commonly, so we don't have a short on the actual output of this, which is 5 volts that powers the DDR5. But this is going to be the buck converter here, and this is what actually takes the 20 volts and turns it into 5 volts. And so these are going to be capacitors on the input, so we can measure here to see if we have a short. And we do have a short. Now I'm measuring on this side, we have, if you look at what the measurement is, 0.09. And if we measure on this side, we're getting 0.36. So this is going to be our ground side, and you can actually see it's tied straight to where I'm probing. And then on this side is going to be a higher measurement, so that's going to be our positive side. But this should be more like infinite, okay? Or it should be in the kilo ohms or mega ohms of resistance, but we have less than an ohm. It's 0.38, 0.36. And when we have something that's close to 0 like that, we're trying to think what would cause that. What type of short are we thinking of, okay? If we have a short like on a cracked capacitor, let's just say that one of these were cracked right here. These would almost go into a wire. They would basically crack in half and then become a wire more or less. And so it would be almost the same measurement on either side. But when we have 0.3, that makes me think that we're shorting through some other power rail, okay? And a common power rail that has a 0.3 resistance measurement is the GPU, which I rarely see a GPU short on this machine because there's lots of VRMs. There's lots of power phases that actually power the GPU, and they also separate the actual power phases on each side of the board. So there's actually a VRM cooler here for the GPU, and then on the other side there's another set. So there's going to be like 4 or 5 power phases here and then another set on the other side. And so by separating it, it usually does pretty good at protecting it. But we're going to be able to check before we take the board out whether it's a short on those VRMs. And I'm going to show you that in a second. Let me pull this back cover off because we're going to need to be able to take off this VRM cooler. Okay, one thing I'm noticing, I am taking this off right this second, and I'm going to back off just for a second here. And the reason why I'm doing this is because we have an issue. I know that he replaced the DC jack. This is the DC jack that was supposedly melted or cracked or whatever it is, and he replaced it with a brand new one. Has a Dell serial number. I don't know if it's real or not, or if he purchased it from me or not, but this is the VRM cooler. There's a big bend right here, okay? And so you can't do that. You cannot have a bend in a heatsink. These things are filled with a vapor or fluid that needs to have movement around here. So if you ever have a heatsink that ends up bending in half and then you're like, oh, I'll just bend it back, nothing's gonna get off of here. So basically all the heat's gonna stay in this area and never make it over here. Now, cause and effect, I don't know. This looks to me like it happened after the fact. So this thing shorted out, he changed it out, and then now, whenever he was taking it apart, he kind of bent this up and messed it up. So we also don't have our second set of cooling pads here. So we have these that are actually touching the MOSFETs, but we don't have anything touching the actual coils to cool them off. So we're gonna have to replace this entire heatsink with new pads. That's just something to address. We're just thinking about it. We're just kind of documenting all that. So let's get under the microscope and I can show you exactly what we're looking at here. So here are 5 VRMs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's gonna be another set of 5 on the other side, so a total of 10 that powers this GPU. Now, what GPU is it? Usually on these machines, we're looking at 4070, 4080, or 4090. So RTX 4080, 4090 is the most common. This machine has a hard time keeping them cool, but I don't see this fail, like I said, very often. But here's what we're gonna do. This is kind of the same setup as we have over here on the DDR5 memory. We have a couple capacitors going into a buck converter, and then that produces the 5 volts. So it's reducing 20 volts down to 5 volts. Now over here, we have the same setup, but we have, this is gonna be the main power rail. It's going into a power MOSFET that's gonna reduce the voltage down to what, 0.7, 0.8, whatever the GPU needs at any particular time. So we would have 0.8 here. So if I measure this main power rail, I just wanna see what measurement we have. So this is the we got 0.4 on this side, and then this side we have 0.1-ish, okay? So this is gonna be our ground side, this is gonna be our positive side, and then I'm gonna measure here and see what measurement we have here. We got 0.7. So if I measure from here to here, we should have not 0. And we don't have 0. So this means that we do not have a GPU short. We have just identified that the short is not going through one of these or even one on the other side, because if we identified one of these as being shorted out, then this measurement would almost be a measurement closer to a 0 measurement. So because we are getting a higher measurement, then we know that's not one of those, okay? So we've ruled that out. So the only way we could proceed at this point is, we could go straight to voltage injection. Sure, I could do that. I could do that right now with the board in. It's not super helpful. The resistance is low enough, so 0.3, 36 or whatever it is. The resistance is low enough that you can inject voltage and actually get enough current to go through it, which will actually heat up something. But most of the electronics on the other side, there's a big heat sink on it. I mean, I don't know what we're gonna see. I guess we could do it for science right now. Sure, let's do it for science, I guess. Okay, you twisted my arm. So we'll inject voltage right now, look at it under the thermal camera and just see what it does, okay? All right, so I'm under the thermal camera here, and because we can use these as a main power rail reference, I'm gonna go ahead and inject voltage there. Let's see, I do have my voltage injection tool right here on the screen, you can see, and we're not gonna do 1.5 volts. We never wanna go above a volt. Because we're at 0.3-ish for ohms, we can go to, we'll do 0.7, I don't know. The lower the resistance, the less voltage we have to inject because we can get more current out of it. Ohm's law, it's a fancy thing. Okay, so I have my ground set up. I'm going to, let's see if I can get a good spot here, and I will inject right on here. Okay, so we're only getting an amp at 0.7, and I'm gonna raise the thermal camera up so we can see the whole board when we're doing this. The odds are we're not gonna see too much and actually go up a little bit. I'm gonna go up to 1 volt. Since we are only showing 1 amp, I can up the voltage just a little bit. Okay, all right, so we have that on and we're gonna look around. Oh, I see something over here, right here, and guess what? That is on the other side of the board, but I can show you exactly what it is or where it's located. So this is where it was heating up, is right here. I do know that we have a power management chip around this area on the other side of the board, so it could be part of the power management chip. And you see this, you can actually see some evidence of some heat right here. This is some flux going through this little via. So let's go ahead and get the board pulled out so we can take a look and see what we have damaged in this area. All right, and the motherboard is out and pretty dusty. Ooh, and I can see some sort of explosion or something. What's going on here? Look at this. You can actually see this whole area has a discoloration. Is this, oh, what? I've never seen this before. Oh, wow, that is burnt. That is burnt. I have never seen that. Let's take a look at that under the microscope. Now, what the? Definitely wow. Wow, does this mean that this is, this is on the palm rest, people. So this is the back of the keyboard itself. Now, is the keyboard the thing that's melted, or is it the motherboard that shot a bunch of this stuff over there? So I think we have a pretty bad explosion on the board. I'm gonna set this aside and we'll go straight to the motherboard and see if we have damage on that. And I don't know what's going on. This looks very liquidy, but a lot of times, kind of there's like silicone pads that are for cooling. You'll have those kind of ooze out this, I don't know, oily type of substance, but let's look around over here. So our power management chip is actually in tip-top shape. I was expecting this thing to have a big blowhole in it, right? But it doesn't, because I've had to repair plenty of those with that issue. So we don't have an issue there. But what does this line up to? You know, where's that explosion line up to? Do we have a short anymore on the power management chip or on the main power rail? Let's see. Let's see, this is the battery charge circuit. This is the charge coil. Are you freaking kidding me? That's crazy. Hold on, let me go back over here because we know that we measured the main power rail right here. So I'm gonna measure right here. Okay, we still have a main power rail short, so it did not resolve it just having the board out of the machine. I was kind of thinking for a second, I was like, okay, well, what if the keyboard was what's actually blown up? I'm gonna have to take this heatsink off because I'm not seeing how an explosion came somewhere, but because I would think it came out of one of these spots right here. But, oh, I see it now. I see it now. This is the worst I've ever seen, and I can already see it now. This, well, I think we have bad news, people. I don't even know if I want to take this off of here. Can you see what I'm looking at here? This, right down here, that's why I'm smelling burning. Oh, this is it. So this must have exploded right here and then kind of shot stuff out onto the palm rest and melted it. And it got so hot. And that's why probably the back of the port on the back of the machine was actually melting. I don't understand how this type of thing can happen. Let me take this heatsink off and we'll take a closer look at it. I have a feeling that this is the end of the road for this motherboard. And unfortunately, depending upon what specs it is, this board costs more than $1,000 and up to $2,500 I've seen priced if it has an RTX 4090 in it. Okay, you ready for this? I don't know if I'm ready for this. All right, lifting it off. So we do have liquid metal on this board, so it could be leaking liquid metal. It could be something else going on. Oh, the liquid metal actually looks good. So we can see that it is on this GPU and CPU. This looks like it might be the 4080, but this is what I'm looking at. This is all on the battery charge circuit, and he has an OEM battery. It's not like you put an aftermarket battery in it. Oh my gosh. Okay, so here's what we're looking at. Let me take a closer look under the microscope. What? I don't even know what I'm looking at. So this is where the voltage and current goes through this. So it basically produces 12.6 volts to charge the battery, comes through here, goes through a current sensor resistor and into the battery. I don't know what the heck's going on here, but to me it looks like we have board layers completely melted. Completely melted. This goes to, where does this go? Are these connected? I don't think these are connected. I thought they're separate. And I don't even know what this component is. This is a coil. This is an inductor. No, it's a MOSFET. This is a little MOSFET that blew up. The little MOSFET that blew up. But underneath it is the damage. Oh gosh, okay. I don't think drilling a hole in the board is going to save this one. I don't think we can put Soren on the case. Let me see if we can clean this up a little bit with a toothbrush. I'm glad I did not plug this board in. What I'm trying to do is get all this stuff out of here. Kind of want to take this inductor off of here so I can see a little bit better, but let me grab a donor board. I just want to show you what that circuit's supposed to look like, because this is not what it's supposed to look like. This is crazy. All right, so here's the actual regular board here that's not burned up. And so you can see all we're supposed to have here is a MOSFET and a current sense resistor. And then this is a bunch of vias. So this is a big track. So I'm assuming this is carrying probably 20 volts. So maybe we have 20 volts coming in here. And do you think this actually shorted out and went thermonuclear and then ended up burning a hole deep inside the board through all these vias right here? Or did this short out? Yeah, I'm not sure what the weak link here was, but we definitely have burn all the way through the board layer as deep as I can see. So let's measure in this area and see if we do have a short now that I've kind of cleaned that up or took that out of here. So we are in continuity mode again. So the battery charge circuit is not, oh, it is shorted with 35 ohms. Great. The main power rail is shorted with 0.3. Current sense resistor shorted. Well, where do you think the short is? Do you think it's down in here? This is a no-go, guys. Sorry. I mean, I knew from the starting, whenever I smelled this board, there was some sort of burning somewhere. I didn't expect it in my wildest dreams to have a burn hole straight through the board like this. I've never seen it on this machine. Usually we have some sort of power management chip that burns up, and I have to kind of rebuild some stuff. But this right here doesn't even make sense, because this is on the battery charge circuit. Unless the battery that they have went bad, right? It is OEM. It's not like they plug an aftermarket battery in, but maybe they omitted that information where they were like, I bought a new battery. It was an aftermarket from Amazon, and I put it in there. But anyway, so there had to have been some sort of failure within the board layers themselves, or what I'm thinking is that we had a shorted MOSFET or a shorted component within that line there that caused the actual board to fail instead, right? The board layers to burn up first before, like usually if you say that you had a short like on a capacitor or something like that, or an inductor, you could have those blow up first, kind of like a fuse, but the board layer blew up instead. So this is a no-go on this one. Let me see if I can price out this board real quick. All right, so almost the worst case scenario. It looks like this is gonna be the i9 13980HX CPU, so highest CPU. It's going to be the RTX 4090 GPU, so the highest GPU. And it is the R1 version of this board, so it's not the 14th gen Intel, so maybe it's not going to be $2,500, but maybe it's $2,200. So at this point, this machine is probably going to be a scrap machine, I would think. But the customer, who knows, they may want to go, have me source a board for them. I don't have any of the boards in stock, but I know I do have some coming in on a shipment right now. So we will see what we can do to help this customer out, but at this point, it's gonna be a motherboard replacement. There's really nothing I can do to save this board. Drilling through the board layers is not gonna fix anything. So this was a sad one, but I'd love to know your thoughts on this one, and thanks for watching.